welcome back to Master Debating, the #1 show in Donald Trump's bedroom. I'm your host, Reed Keller, and today we have quite the quandary on our hands. Our executive producer went on a bender last night, leaving us floating nearby Schitt's Creek without a paddle. That said, we cobbled together a debate topic as best we could and found two experts on the subject. Our topic, the Better Park School of Communications professor, Pete Johans, or Chrissy Guest. On one side of the ring, we have Dylan Shepard, who will be arguing in favor of Pete, and in this corner, we have Alex Nelbach, who will be arguing for Chrissy because he was rude to our green room staff, so he'll have to sit here while Pete stares daggers into him from the control room. Dylan, we're going to start with you.
Yeah.
Pete Johans, sarcastic all the time, teaches class almost exclusively through humor. Why does that make him a better professor than Chrissy Guest?
It just, Reed, overall, it just makes Pete a more personable professor. The sarcasm, I mean, yeah, is it a bit much sometimes? Maybe, but he's funny, he's on it, he's with it. He likes to relate to his students. He throws in jokes with his lesson plans. It's great, it lightens up the classroom. It's a fun time for everybody.
Alex, your first retort.
Well, you talked about his sense of humor. Well, Chrissy Guest has a great sense of humor, has a very sneaky sense of humor that really surprises a lot of people. And she doesn't really need to be that personable with her students. Her students should be just on point every day, and that's
Have you met us? We suck. We can't just be on point all the time. We're terrible.
Well, that's what college
Half of us
students
don't even
should
show
be
up to
like.
class. We suck.
Well, we'll put it this way, Alex. Chrissy, the one thing that, while she might not have the over-the-top sense of humor, she does have over-the-top amount of energy.
Oh, yeah.
Does that make the class easier to participate in?
Yeah, she has great energy. She has great energy and passion while teaching these classes, and she makes documentaries at the same time. She does all of this on a day-to-day basis, and her energy and passion never falter, And you just can't find that anywhere else.
It just sounds like he's implying that Pete's energy does falter, which is just not the case. He teaches the same classes day in and day out. Just won an award. Has this fantastic energy. Alex made the point that Chrissy has she makes documentaries on the side. Pete has a podcast. With his son.
That's true.
His son, people, his son.
So, obviously, one of the strongest arguments in favor of Pete is that he was the head of the TVR major up until this year.
Yeah.
But then stepped down. It kind of seemed like, maybe he couldn't handle the responsibilities. What would you say to someone who would say that?
I don't think that's the case because I think, he proved himself for the years that he was doing it. And I think it's just, maybe time for a change. And he very humbly stepped down, took the smaller office, no complaints. And he's still a Park. He's still doing his thing. It shows he still has great respect for the school and wants the students to be better. Just change of pace.
No. You're talking about head of the program. Well, Chrissy Guest could be the head of the program if she wanted to be, but she doesn't. She could
Wait, so she
do
she
anything
wanted to
that
be,
she
but she
wants.
doesn't?
She doesn't want to be a head of the program, but she could be if she did want to. And that's what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
So, Dylan, we'll put it this way. Obviously, Pete Johans has a tremendous social media presence.
Yeah.
He's very in your face about his social media presence.
Absolutely.
How much? How is it too much though? Is he looking for validation a little too hard?
No, not at all. It's just a warm, welcoming presence on social media. It really bridges that gap between teacher and student, and also makes it more accessible. If you have to reach out to him, if you need to connect with him, he loves to see his students, present and past students, and he loves to connect with them. So. No issue.
Alex, but before you respond to that, I would want to say, I feel like Chrissy would obviously be very in favor of you supporting her and dissing Pete, but is that a little wrong that a colleague is in favor of dissing a fellow professor?
No, it's obviously not. If they're being very rude to you, I mean, why would you want to support another professor? Why would you want to support a person who's being rude to you? And I'm sure that, given Pete's personality, I'm sure he's been very rude to Chrissy Guest over the years.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I doubt it.
I think so. Yeah.
Probably not.
Pete tries to perform him or show himself as a philanthropist, giving back to the community. He coaches various teams of small children, and can do a spot-on Kermit the Frog
He
impression.
can. He can.
But again, doesn't this all feel a little shticky?
No, not at all. Because I mean, he coaches the basketball team, but doesn't care if the team is bad. Doesn't care about that. It's if they're bad. He claims they're bad because of his coaching. So he's humble. He accepts his faults. He's just there to have a great time.
Alex, final statement in support of Chrissy.
Chrissy can do anything and everything better than Pete Johans, 100%, all the time, every day, any day of the week. And that's all I got to say about that.
Fair enough. Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this debate, but stick around. When we return, newsman Will Carlson will debate Harrison Ford over the proper way to wear an adventurer's hat. Stay tuned.